On behalf of myself and the board, we'd like to welcome you to the 7th Annual State of the City with Mayor Kennedy. Before we get into the mayor's address, I just want to say I want to thank the Knights of Columbus for this is the second year that we've had it here. This is a beautiful establishment, and we look forward to future events here with you guys. I also want to thank Cafe 39, who donated the refreshments up in the back. I want to thank my board members that came out tonight. We do have some coffee cups, souvenir coffee cups up there if you guys are interested in making a $5 donation, and you can grab one of those. With that said, you're not here to hear me speak, so it becomes my honor and privilege to introduce to you the Mayor of Lynn, Mayor Judith Flanagan Kennedy.
Thank you, Josh. Can everybody hear me okay? And I'm already up on the stool, so if you can't see me all right, I don't think there's anything more I can do about that. But anyway, I want to say good evening, first of all, to everybody, and thank you so much for coming. I just met a new resident of Lynn in the ladies' room. Actually, there's Lisa and Dean, our newest residents. Welcome. And I told her how much I appreciate it when people come out and want to know what is going on in their city and want to become engaged civically. So I truly appreciate all of you taking time on a beautiful July night to come out and hear me speak. So I also want to thank Josh and the Lynn Community Association for hosting us here. Every year, this State of the City address affords me the opportunity to present you what the city has accomplished, what we are working on, and to answer any questions you might have. It's an important annual update and dialogue on the happenings here in our great city. So let me start down on the Lynnway, where we recently obtained a $1.2 million MassWorks grant that will create a new southbound left turn into Beacon Chevrolet's development site. It will also landscape the abutting public walkways and provide a water main across the Lynnway. This $1.2 million, coupled with Seaport Economic Funds and tax incentives, have not only assisted the developer of the Beacon site in making the project a reality, but this money will also help to connect the downtown with the waterfront, creating a walkable, livable community with great housing, great businesses, and wonderful, accessible waterfront open space. Across the street from the Lynnway, I'm happy to report that North Shore Community College's beautiful expansion is wrapping up. The staff has moved into the space, and classes will start in there in September. And we're excited to be attending a ribbon-cutting ceremony on September 15th for this new expansion. The expansion is testimony to how vital North Shore Community College is to Lynn. Much like our K-12 public schools, North Shore Community College is bursting at the seams. The expansion will go a long way in providing an affordable college education to Lynn and other North Shore residents. I might add that North Shore Community College has been partnering with the Lynn Public Schools to allow early college education classes for some of our students. And this pushed their enrollment past the original projected size of 1,200 up to almost 4,000 students in the past year. So this expansion is really vital to helping all of the children and older students in the City of Lynn get the education that they need to bring their lives to a new level. On Washington Street, ground has been broken on the Housing Authority's Gateway Residences project. This project is the beginning of the city's effort to revitalize the Washington Street corridor and the Sagamore Hill neighborhood, old stomping grounds of Mr. Calvin Anderson, who is here in the audience tonight. Initiated by the Lynn Housing Authority, it represents a significant financial and physical commitment to this important area. With 71 units and over 2,000 square feet of retail space, it will complement North Shore Community College's expansion and act as a catalyst for further development. The project not only meets the smart growth and sustainable development criteria established by the Commonwealth, but it also creates numerous construction and many permanent jobs. A few blocks from Washington Street, the YMCA's expansion project is well underway. We are awaiting groundbreaking announcements, but I can tell you that Bruce McDonald and his team have raised over $7 million in new market tax credits and over $14 million in total for what will be a 70,000 square foot state-of-the-art Y, with a new pool, splash pads, running laps, double gyms, 7 classrooms, play areas for younger children, and a cafe. Lynn will surely have the best YMCA on the eastern seaboard. It will also, much like our Washington Street project, transform the area surrounding the Y and create economic spin-off for abutting businesses. Other projects of note include John McGrail's redevelopment of our iconic Flatiron building, which should be open to residents this fall. The Vault, as it has been named, features on-site signature dining options at Pies and Pints and Brew on the Grid. For those pizza pie, I know it's a little New York thing, but it's pizza and beer, Pies and Pints. And Brew on the Grid would be the coffee component on the ground level. And I'm happy to report market rate residential units on the top. I'm also happy to report that we have been meeting with the new owners of the Lynn Item Building and can report the same. The units will be market rate with retail on the first floor. In fact, they will be keeping the printing press intact, and we have had preliminary discussions of helping them open a cafe called the Press Room. So stay tuned and read all about it soon. We found out, when I went on this tour with the developers, they're actually from Australia, and we found out a few weeks ago that it would cost almost $500,000 to disassemble this press. It's enormous. It would take up this entire room plus another floor. So we thought it would be a wonderful centerpiece to this new development, and the developers fortunately had come to that conclusion independently, so it looks like that's what we'll be able to do. We have some smaller scale projects in the downtown area as well, including the Shaw's Marketplace. Many of you who have gone by will see that it looks more updated. It has been given a facade makeover. We've had the groundbreaking of the rehabilitation and reuse of the Joyce Building on Market Street. Hacienda Corona is expanding into the downtown, and we've had the White Rose Coffee House become, yes. And Wendy, another one of our frequent flyers here in the City of Lynn, who should be a face familiar to anybody who lives here, can attest, I'm sure, to the variety of musical and spoken word acts and even karaoke that the White Rose Coffee House has brought to the downtown. You may have also noticed a variety of new taller period style antique lighting throughout the downtown. As we have done in the past, we will continue to put our resources where you put resources, investing where you invest. These businesses and our capital improvements are all important pieces of our overall, excuse me, I made it to page 3 without coughing, of our overall downtown development puzzle. On the other side of the city, with our $6 million investment in Wyoma Square complete, we are about a year and a half away from starting the reconstruction of the stretch of road from Wyoma Square to the entrance of Lynn Woods. The 4 miles of road from Goodwin Circle through Wyoma and Boston Street and into our downtown is a heavily traversed piece of roadway, and this leg of its rehabilitation is long overdue. Large-scale transportation projects aside, I know some of the most important issues affecting residents and consumers' daily lives are the smaller public infrastructure issues, such as potholes, sidewalks, trees, and snow removal. This past year, our Department of Public Works completed hundreds of smaller projects in Lynn's neighborhoods. We also have a tree program where those of you who live in certain neighborhoods will be able to go to the Lynn DPW and get yourself a tree to be planted in order to create more of a natural landscaped look for the city of Lynn and to get us away from the urban appearance that we so often have. In addition, to combat illegal dumping, the DPW is now in its second year of accepting bulk waste items such as mattresses and furniture at the Commercial Street Transfer Station on most Saturdays. To date, approximately 250 tons of bulk waste has been disposed of in a responsible manner. Although trash and litter remains a constant struggle, this has put a tremendous dent in the illegal dumping of larger items. Eradicating litter and dumping is vital in showcasing our city, its businesses, and its amenities. With regard to the budget and our city finances, we are meticulously turning over every financial stone in an effort to minimize any possible staffing impacts that might be necessary in order to balance our budget. I can't say enough about how diligent my financial team, in tandem with Council President Darren Sear and Council Vice President Buzzy Barton, have been in ensuring we do all we can before we lay anyone off. The issue remains the same as it has since 2014. Net school spending mandates. I looked back. In 2010, fiscal year 2010, the year I took office, the spending for the schools was at $107 million. This year, our budget for the schools, as mandated by the state formula, is $144 million. That is a growth rate in excess of 5% a year. The city's growth rate is pretty much in line with the national growth rate, which is at about 2.5% to 3% a year. And it doesn't take a mathematical genius to understand that when one department has a 5% plus rate of growth and the overall entity has something that's a little more than half of that, you're going to have a financial collision. And that's what we've been dealing with. So what I've been trying to do is to make sure that we can take as little as possible from the taxpayers and to try to find other ways to take care of this. So the first place we looked was the budget. We have consolidated all of our leases back before we had to really tighten our belts. Every department did its own lease. The police department would lease their vehicles, and the fire department would lease their vehicles, and ISD would, and so forth. But we were able to get much better rates by having a whole fleet being leased by the city, as opposed to buying and putting it in separate departments. Similarly, we've consolidated all the gas, and you'd be surprised how much gas the city of Lynn uses. We used to allocate so many thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to each department for use in their gas. But the city had a really convoluted way of dealing with that, because then everybody would go to the DPW to fill up their tanks. The DPW would invoice the department would pay from their gas budget over to the DPW, and the DPW would pay the wholesaler. Well, this sometimes ended up with a glut of money, either at the DPW or over at the individual departments, and they were using that for items that, as one of the financial leaders of the city, I would call delicately non-essential. I mean, there was some perks being spent with that glut of gasoline money. So now we've simplified the process so that the DPW has all of the gas money, and people will be reporting by their division, by their department, what they are spending. And we're trying to take care of the finances that way. We also got the waste management company to defer $500,000 from this fiscal year's contract obligation, putting it into next year. And I know that may sound like kicking the can down the road, but in actuality, our financial picture is going to look much, much better in FY19 than it is in FY18. First of all, we're not going to be dealing with retroactive raises that we had to put out after the settlement of the contracts in this fiscal year. Secondly, we will be in our next to last year of the net school spending repayment that we have been dealing with since FY14. And lastly, we are still paying off, if you can recall on a warm night like this, the horrible February of 2015, and that entire winter where every single community in the Commonwealth basically tripled their expenditures in snow and ice removal. So the Commonwealth allowed us to all to spread that payment out over 3 years, and Lynn's final payment of about $900,000 will be taken care of this year. So I think the budget's in pretty good shape. We had to do a trash fee, and we tried to keep that as far away from the average single-family homeowner as possible. So it is structured to be in 3 different tiers, one of them being out-of-town landlords who own property here and are benefiting from the city's, the city's ability to take up their trash and not paying us anything in recognition of that. We are also looking at businesses to pay a modest trash fee and residents who don't occupy their particular unit. So again, we're just trying to keep the burden as small as possible on those who are living here in Lynn, paying their taxes and living in their unit. Let me go over to the schools a little bit. As I mentioned, the school budget has gone from $107 to $144 million. In addition, our enrollment has gone from 13,600 students to over 16,000 today. That's about 2,500 new students that the City of Lynn has had to absorb without really a big or a corresponding, at least, increase in the number of classrooms that we have available in the city. We've put 2 modular classrooms over at the Tracy Elementary School to accommodate some of the increase in enrollment there. And of course, we built the new Marshall Middle School, which gave us cleaner, brighter, larger classrooms, but we took the old Marshall out of service. So the net result is that we have not seen the corresponding number of classrooms that we would need to accommodate what amounts to 2 new high schools worth of students in the city. But I do want to go to Marshall and tell you about that. This is our new state-of-the-art 180,000 square foot facility, and this year saw its first full year's worth of use. It literally transformed the surrounding neighborhood and the education for the 1,100 students who attend there. I'm also proud to note that the Mass School Building Authority, who is the entity who provided the 80% reimbursement to the City of Lynn, has recognized the Marshall School as a model middle school for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And I'm really proud that the architect, Gene Raymond from Raymond and Associates, and the project manager, Lynn Stapleton from Left Field, did such a wonderful job for us here in the City of Lynn. They deserve great recognition for the fine, fine product that they turned out. On our Parks and Open Space, with the Frederick Douglass Bandstand in the Small Common recently rehabilitated, we just applied for a $500,000 grant for the larger portion of the Lynn Common. Following the Common Master Plan, we intend to rehabilitate the walkway, install new benches, landscape the area, and cap it off with antique lighting. The Common is an important gateway to the north for the downtown and to the south for both our Market Square businesses and our new Market Basket. Its rehabilitation will help showcase them both. Across the street from the Commons, the library continues to receive a makeover. The original circa 1900 bronze lights were placed back in their original positions and turned on at a relighting ceremony. They now flank the library's main staircase and will complement the impending improvements to the Boys and Girls Club. That the Boys and Girls Club will be making these, and the work we have accomplished across the street in the Small Common will really add to the visual appeal of that area. In the downtown, we are busy gearing up for another exciting year in the Cultural District. We have, well, we are chock full of exciting programming aimed at massing people in the downtown core. In fact, we just concluded our first ever North Shore Comic Con event, bringing in patrons from all over the North Shore to Lynn. Beginning in July, we have begun programming live music at the weekly farmers market, and this will continue through the month of October. In case any of you have been hiding out under a rock for the last couple of weeks, over the last 10 days, we have had our mural festival take place. We brought in 20 artists, literally from all over the world, to paint 16 walls with murals. This was done as a result of the vision of Al Wilson and his group Beyond Walls. So on Saturday, July 22nd, he threw the city's own Arts and Culture Festival, which included music, food trucks, artists, vendors, interactive art activities, and tours of the district. We had about 2,500 people down there, and it really, really was a beautiful day to see so many smiling people wandering through the streets, making the streets buzz in downtown Lynn on that Saturday. On September 30th, we will host the city's 11th annual Clock to the Rock 5K road race. This will begin in Central Square, taking participants through the downtown Lynn Cultural District, the Diamond District, along the waterfront, and back to the Central Square Island. Clock to the Rock has become a wonderful annual tradition. As one of the first cities to be named an official cultural district, our application for redesignation has been submitted for consideration to the Mass Cultural Council. Our application showcases how extensively we've grown in cultural assets, partnerships, and programming since our initial designation, which, as many of you may remember, we were one of the 5 inaugural districts in the state to receive that designation, just based on our long history of being a center for arts and culture, and we're very, very proud of that initial inaugural designation. An important part of our application was the expansion of the cultural district boundaries. Due to the incredible partnerships and collaborations taking place in downtown, we are proposing expanding the district, the limits outward from Market Street to Silsby Street and High Streets, and lengthwise from Essex Street to our Linway. Each boundary welcomes stronger cultural partners than the next, from Market Street to High Rock Tower and the waterfront to the auditorium. Speaking of the auditorium, we traveled to New York City again this past January, went band shopping, rubbed elbows with the LA-based agents, and have already booked more shows this year than last. The auditorium just continues to grow and grow. We've recently booked Eddie Money and Dennis DeYoung of Styx. That's going to be one show combined. And you will soon be seeing Donnie and Marie Osmond, Keith Sweat, Ann Wilson of Heart, Michael McDonald, Gene Simmons of Kiss, and Gladys Knight, among others. So, and the Chieftains, in fact, are coming the day after St. Patrick's Day, for those of you who might like some Celtic music. We truly have a diverse lineup that should please everybody's musical taste. And Jimmy, I know you might like this one. I would also invite you to keep your eyes open for a date with Frankie Valli. See, I get some say in this, and I kind of look at some of the bands that I might like to see, and I've been pushing them to get Frankie Valli and the Little River Band down here soon, because I think those would be great fits for the classic rock and some of the extensions and diversity that we're trying to bring into the auditorium as well. I really can't say enough about what the auditorium has become. When I was first elected, I was adamant that we create a destination to mass people together in order to spur on economic development. The auditorium has become that destination. Thousands upon thousands are attending shows, and the ripple effect it has had not only on downtown, but on the entire city is so evident. We have 18 shows on sale now, and we'll continue to book more and more shows and utilize this wonderful resource to all its intended and full potential. For those of you who don't realize, Rossetti Restaurant expanded from Winthrop into Lynn because of the potential market that the auditorium brought. The same thing with RF O'Sullivan. They were located in Somerville, and when they were looking to expand, they chose to expand in Lynn because Lynn had the auditorium, and those restaurants are now having up to 3 to 4 seatings before any auditorium show. So it truly has become the catalyst for a lot of the downtown economic development. Let me give you an update on Market Basket. After years and years of the Factory of the Future land laying fallow, seems as if we have gone from 0 to 60 overnight. The building is up, the roundabout is working. I know 80% of the people that called us on it were thrilled about it, and 20% of the people, not so much. People are resistant to change, I get that. And in fact, when the traffic engineers first told me that a better solution for that traffic light, rather than 5 traffic signals, was an ovoid rotary, also known as an eggabout, I think the words that came out of my mouth were something like, "What are you, crazy?" And there might have been a colorful adjective thrown in there too, I'm not sure. But once they explained to me how the traffic would flow, I did become convinced that that would be a way to improve the wait times and the traffic flow around that intersection. And so far, I do believe that it was the right call. So one of the first issues I tackled when I took office was the development of that GE Factory of the Future land. I recall sitting in room 302 of City Hall years ago, demanding action from the GE top brass. My insistence facilitated a path to redevelopment, and I couldn't be happier to cut the ribbon with Artie Demoulas. That's Arthur T., the good one, the one we wanted to win. Later on, right now, it's looking like a projected opening of approximately August 15th, but if you go by that area, you will see it's very nearly up and running. And I might add that 2017 is the 100th anniversary of the opening of the very first Market Basket, so it does hold special significance not only for the grocery chain, but we would be honored to become one of the additions to their family in their 100th year. Market Basket is going to bring hundreds of jobs, additional property tax dollars. It will act as an anchor for potential surrounding development, and it will be the touchstone as the total transformation of the area takes place. In addition to large projects like Market Basket, a host of smaller businesses have recently opened their doors or are about to open their doors here in Lynn. We have Sprint, Andy's Breakfast, District 45, Lightning Coffee Roasters, Popeye's Chicken, Taco Bell, and I'm very often seen driving through drive-thrus, so personally I'm happy about the 2 fast food people that are coming in, but they will all be calling Lynn their home now. As always, my team and I stand ready and willing to assist these businesses in being successful. Community Development's Successful Facade Program is funded yet again. EDIC is happy to talk to businesses about their loan programs, and ISD stands ready to help others navigate the permitting process. So other miscellaneous projects of note include funding another year's worth of community policing officers, where officers can connect with the public on a personal level, walking the beat, thwarting disputes and crime before they happen. I believe programs like these are so important to our crime reduction efforts. An additional link to helping keep kids out of trouble, we hired approximately 120 youth through our summer youth program this summer. Now that they're out of school, they are spending their summer working hard in our downtown and parks, picking up trash, trimming weeds, and assisting businesses such as Eastern Bank, where they not only do an honest day's work, but they gain valuable insight into the working world. And I thank everybody who has participated in this program. It's truly a wonderful opportunity for the citizens' youth. So this speech traditionally details the work and the progress we've made over the past year. But as many of you know, getting to the point of where a middle school is actually built, former downtown factories are converted into market rate condos, or a Market Basket grocery rises from a vacant 26 acres can take years of planning, financing, negotiating, and persistence. There are no shortages of projects to work on, structures to rehabilitate, and businesses to assist. We will continue to both persist and assist until the plans for Beacon Chevrolet, the Gear Works, South Harbor sites, and a variety of other large and small-scale projects are done. We will continue to invest in our own public spaces and buildings, much like the Mural Festival demonstrated over the past couple of weeks. We'll be showcasing our assets while helping private owners showcase theirs. We will continue to nurture and expand our arts and cultural district so that it, in turn, can continue to mass people and create the creative and economic spin-off that is so important to the City of Lynn. We will continue to lead the way and make Lynn, Massachusetts all that it can and should be, a great place to live, work, and play. I thank you all for coming tonight, and I'm happy to take any questions that you might have. Anybody? Okay, Mr. Suslak, how can I help you?
This is an easy one. Started a little later, had never been downtown, but we know what day Market Basket plans to open. Do we have any?
The tentative opening is August 15th. They are really hoping to get it done by the end of the summer season. There's always a few extra things, but the permitting's all in place. The outside of the building is virtually complete, and I have seen trailers going in, starting to stock the shelves. So I think August 15th right now is a pretty reasonable timetable to expect for the doors to open. Can't wait. This is going to be one of those nice ones with the Market Cafe. I don't know if any of you have been to the one in Revere where you can actually sit there and get a latte and a chicken parm sandwich or whatever and then go do your shopping so you don't spend all your extra money because you're hungry and you're walking up and down food aisles. But it should be very nice. Is there anybody else that has any questions? All right, well, seeing nobody else, I want to thank all of you very, very much for coming, and I hope you enjoy the rest of tonight and the rest of your week, and I look forward to talking with all of you again soon. Have a great night. Thank you.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out, and just to let you know that our next event will be coming up on September 16th. We'll be once again participating in the in the Essex Heritage Foundation's annual Trails and Sales event. We'll be hosting historical tours of the Grand Army of Republic on Andrew Street. So you can get a flyer up the front. Thank you. Thank you again for coming.